Welcome to the Modern Yogi Podcast. An exploration of ancient wisdom.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, welcome to episode number
67. We are so happy to be back together, back with you guys. We love what we do and love to have this platform to do it.
Yes, and so my name is Shama Sangeeta.
My name is Priyadarshini.
And I am Shamali, and we're the Modern Yogi Podcast.
And this is what we sound like.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, these are our voices that match our names. In case
That
you
voice
didn't
was
know.
Shamali.
Yeah.
This is Shama Sangeeta.
You forget your name.
Forgot my name for a second.
That's funny. And yeah, this is Priyadarshini.
Yeah, so
right.
we are basically starting chapter 9, text 11, the most confidential knowledge. This is a beautiful, beautiful section of the Gita. It's like the sweetest, most intimate, secret part, right?
Yeah, I have a fun fact for listeners.
What's the fun fact?
If we haven't said this before, there's a fun fact that my voice is the voice that goes Modern Yogi Podcast at the beginning of the episode.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Someone told me that it actually sounds like a robot. And I was
It
like,
sounds like Siri.
it
It
does
sounds like
sound like
Siri.
a robot.
And you know another fun fact, didn't you say that you didn't put that on a loop, or Abhijit
no, I
didn't
said
put
it every time.
Yeah, you
it was
literally said it.
podcast.
It's like
my
you
God.
re-spoke it a
That's
few
hilarious.
times.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to go in the route of fun facts of the Gita, which one popped in my head as you said fun facts. Do you know, because like we read the text and then the purport is Srila Prabhupada's explanation, but do you know how long it actually lasted of Krishna speaking or singing the whole poem of the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna on the battlefield?
How long?
Take a guess.
Oh my God. Wait,
20 hours.
Yeah. It's like, are we being realistic or is it like the days of Brahmas?
Oh, no. This is
Days of Brahma are
real time. This is
hella unrealistic.
Like realistic
human being real time.
human being real
Wait,
time.
so wait, hold on. The question is, how long did Krishna spend actually
Talking the
Speaking
Gita.
the Bhagavad
Speaking
Gita.
the Bhagavad Gita
And
from
when
start to finish?
Yeah, and when we say that, that only means the text, because again, the purports, for those listening,
Are
that's Srila Prabhupada. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
literally just Krishna speaking the text
Krishna's
to
not
Arjuna.
purporting himself.
Yeah,
Just
so
the verses.
And this is, the Gita is like a poem. It's like, it's sung in a cadence of Sanskrit. So how long
Okay.
did it take?
I think-
Did Abhijit show you the answer? No.
No.
Oh, okay. I was like, that's like my students. When I ask one, the
No.
person next to them kind of whispers it. And I'm like, I asked Roman, not Sally. Anyway.
No, actually, I was going to say there's one day a year, Gita
Okay.
Jayanti,
Yes.
in which they recite only the Sanskrit part and they go through the whole thing and they go rather quickly. And I think Krishna takes
okay.
longer than that. And it takes them hours. Like, I think it's like
3 hours.
more.
4 hours?
I think it's more.
More.
I feel like it was like 12 hours. That's my guess.
I think, have you been
Think
to
about
a Gita
Krishna.
Jayanti celebration?
No. I'm saying think about Krishna saying it.
Oh,
he would be
and
like,
he's-
he would be
he's-
emphasizing and
Yeah,
like
he's gonna
slowing
pause
down,
a little
pause
bit
and like, you know,
and
act
then
it out.
Arjuna's gonna be like dramatic and be like, oh, okay, fine. You
I'm
know,
gonna say
like-
12 hours, but I feel like it's way more than that.
Okay, I'm gonna say 20 hours.
Wait, don't tell us yet. Abhijit, what do you think?
I think it was maybe 2 hours.
Okay.
Okay, Abhijit's more on the mark. According to Keshav Swami, I heard that it took Krishna 45 minutes to recite the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna.
That's one Modern Yogi episode.
Wow, we're slow.
That's such a funny comparison.
We're super slow.
Wow, that's a super
45
cool fun
minutes.
fact.
I feel not like Googling it to triple check, but I'm pretty 100%
We'll
sure
triple
it was
check.
45 minutes. I'll triple check and get back on the next episode.
That's
But
kind
for
of-
all intents and purposes, it was 45 minutes.
That's kind of wow because like in my head it was 20 and I was envisioning all of these restless soldiers just looking at them and be like, oh, when is this over?
right.
But it was
Yeah.
only 45 minutes.
45
That's not a
minutes.
long time.
Not at all.
I mean, like think about talking to your friend about something that's happening in their lives. They're 45 minutes, like
That's not a long time.
Just to set up for this podcast,
That's
took
just
us
the
45 minutes and we were talking
I know.
about everything.
45 minutes is the context and prelude to my real story before getting there. So
Wow, 45 minutes. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
That
Super
was
cool.
a fun fact.
that was
That
a
is, right?
fun fact.
yeah, we'll bring
All
more
right.
fun facts the next time. Stay tuned. So.
Yeah. Whenever we come up with that. not pressure that you have to
No, I
come
just
up with one
actually
every time.
only remembered because there was a couple more he said that I'm going to read for the next episode.
Oh, nice.
So there are
Awesome.
some other things of the Gita. Yeah, the Gita is one of those books. The more you read it, the more you gain from it. Like
Okay.
Priya's joke of the 19th chapter.
Yeah.
If you don't know what that is, go listen to the previous episodes.
Anything else
I
for
didn't
the,
know either.
the recap? For
Let's see.
I mean, essentially, this is just the sweetest part of the Bhagavad Gita. If we
Talking about
divide it into different
Krishna.
sections, this chapter 9 especially, the most confidential knowledge, Krishna's really, really going to start revealing more and more about himself.
Perfect.
That's pretty much it.
All right. Invocation, ladies, please.
Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha.
Translation. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto them.
Beautiful.
Chapter 9, text 11. Priyadarshini.
Fools deride me when I descend in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature as the supreme Lord of all that be.
You know what's interesting about this text? We read about the Gita now and think, obviously Krishna's God. How can you not know that? But when Krishna was present at that time, the Gita was taking place, even not everyone around him, most of those around him at that time didn't accept him. Can't speak. Didn't accept him as Krishna, as God, as the supreme.
Cool.
Yeah.
One more time, Priya.
Yeah. And then I'm going to tell you about Superman, okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good.
Fools deride me. Do we know what the word deride means?
I just looked it up.
I had a feeling.
Express contempt or ridicule.
Ooh.
Okay, start again.
Fools express contempt or ridicule me when I descend in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature as the supreme Lord of all that be.
Right. It's interesting because when you see a human, and then I want to hear about Superman. I think I know where you're going to go with this. That's good. That's good. You should say that. So, right. Krishna is able to conduct the whole creation, the maintenance, the destruction of the entire cosmos. And yet people see him in this two-armed human form and think, oh, he's just one of us, whatever. Because he's
a regular schmo.
He's a regular schmo is literally what they think. Duryodhana was like, who's this regular schmo in front of me reciting the Gita for 45 minutes? Anyway, and it's confirmed in the Brahma Samhita, which we've referenced before and sang the beautiful prayers from. It talks all about his supreme lordship and his qualities. And what were you going to say about Superman?
No, I was just going to say, like, it's kind of like Superman, how he's Clark Kent to everyone else.
Yep.
But the thing that surprises me the most is that Superman, when he shows up as Superman, people are impressed and they're like, oh, you're not like us.
Right.
But Krishna's saying that even when he shows up and he shows his powers and stuff, people are just like, no, you're an ordinary man. And that's wild. I cannot imagine seeing someone, I mean, all the things that Krishna has done, if you read the Krishna book, you hear stories about Krishna lifting a mountain or what are some other crazy things Krishna's done?
Oh, when he was a baby, he killed the witch that had poison on her breasts. And he was just a little baby.
Yes.
And he did that. He was miraculously killed this demon witch.
Who was trying to kill him?
He ate a little dirt and his mother said, open your mouth, Krishna. And when he opened his mouth, he revealed all the universes and cosmos in his mouth. And his mother was bewildered for a minute. But then because of her love, she went back to just seeing him as like, naughty child, I need to chastise you for eating dirt. Not good for you.
I wonder if part of it is that, right? Like part of it is that Krishna gives glimpses to his like pure devotees and like loved ones, right? And then these devotees are like, yeah, Krishna's amazing, but no one really understands the degree to which Krishna's amazing. Because if a mother's talking about her child, and she's like, I saw the universe in his mouth. That sounds poetic and almost like she just, she just loves him a lot, Not like.
I was about to say, Priya, I think I thought something similar when there's two different categories. His pure devotees who are overwhelmed with love that they forget his divine supremacy. And then those who are really just not on that level to be able to even see that.
Right.
They don't see it. Krishna only revealed his universal form to Arjuna when he asked, like when there was a shift in the mood, Arjuna finally said, Krishna, I'm yours. Please show me that form. I'm your disciple.
We're going to get
Krishna
to that
revealed
later
it.
in the Gita.
Yeah, later on. So basically, Krishna reveals that side of his grandeur to his deeper devotees, but he would never show Duryodhana that because it's like Duryodhana's not qualified. He hasn't, and
but there's so many stories. That's the hard part, right? Because you're thinking about like his whole life. Krishna has done all these amazing things, and like there's news. I know it's not the same as how it is now, but people talk, oh, Krishna did this and Krishna did that. But I feel like the reality is that when someone doesn't want to accept something, they can be really stubborn and not accept it.
Exactly.
So then it's like, oh, Krishna lifted a mountain.
Yeah,
like
right.
You're
Totally.
right. There's no way a child did that. Or like all these stories. Yeah, right. like, or he's the most powerful boy I've ever seen.
And you might think, there's so many other powerful ones. Like
Exactly.
Duryodhana's pride prevented him from thinking Krishna's the most powerful. He also thought, I'm powerful. I'm going to win this battle.
Not only that, but he thought, I'd rather get Krishna's whole army than Krishna himself.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So-
He kind of lives this like beautiful double life, right? Where
Like Hannah Montana.
yeah, that's exactly who I was going to reference.
Love it. Love it.
But like this beautiful double life where he still plays the role of like a kid who's just growing up, or just Arjuna's charioteer, just like these regular
both worlds.
the regular roles, right? And then it's interesting because like people will see, like, when Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill, this entire massive hill that still exists in India today with his pinky finger, right? There was still people like living underneath that hill with him that saw this miracle happen, right? And it's like, you ever seen that movie Men in Black?
Yeah.
Right, where he puts that little red thing and then they forget everything.
The
They,
light
like,
thing.
the light
flashing.
thing. Yeah, and I think that Krishna has that ability to like have people forget,
Yeah.
and they go back to just living a normal life
Because
with him.
that's the beautiful thing, because he wants those deep, intimate interactions, right? Like when someone's famous, the way one of their fans will view them is different than how their intimate friends and family will view them. And on a minor scale with us now that people are starting to gain traction, it's so funny. No, because I have a little funny anecdote. I think I mentioned to you guys a bit ago that one of the people listening was writing to us, and I guess they thought that they were writing to someone else. And then I sent a voice note back like, oh, thank you so much, whatever, for your support. And they responded like, I'm sorry. I'm just a little taken aback now. This is like the Shamali. And that's the first time in my life I've heard someone say the Shamali. And like, I was having a whole moment. And right after that, my mom was like, Shamali, come clean the kitchen. You left blah, blah, blah. And I was thinking, LOL, my family will never see me that way. That's cool. And it's just the differences of proximities of closeness,
Yeah.
So Krishna's intimate family and friends, he doesn't want them to see him in the mood of awe and reverence,
that makes sense.
So while hearing thee before your name is kind of like, whoa.
The supreme personality of Godhead. He's like,
Right.
I'm just Krishna.
Yeah. And then my sister's like, oh, you dummy. And I'm like, I'm home. This is cool.
Oh, you dummy. And what's so interesting is that there's also multiple forms of Krishna that come in a human form, right? Like,
Totally.
for instance, Lord Buddha was a avatar of Lord Krishna as well.
How
Or
many-
for the
how
non-Indians,
many-
avatar.
Do you guys know how many thousands of years ago Buddha came?
Ooh. I'm not sure, but I can look it up.
Okay, just because when you said that, it made me think it's so cool that in the Bhagavad Gita spoken, 5,000 years ago, they mentioned all the avatars that were going to come in decades, in yugas ahead of them. So like meaning that they described what was going to happen in the future that really did happen, you know? That's kind of really cool to think. Like they predicted that. They talked about Buddha coming to bring goodness but where were you going with
Right,
that?
yes. So like Lord Rama was a human form of Lord Krishna, right? That's an avatar of Lord Krishna. Buddha was also an avatar of Lord Krishna. And so what was crazy is that even in those different forms, people were trying to kill God. You know what I mean? Like there's so many assassination attempts on Lord Buddha, And so like people, no matter what form that Krishna comes in, when he descends to earth in this human form, there's people that are they're jealous of him, they are contemptuous to him, they try to ridicule him. And so he has to transcend through that. But his pure devotees always know who he is. You know what I mean?
And that's kind of like the story of so many saintly people in this world who, like the life of Jesus Christ, The people around him, his intimate followers saw who he was and the spiritual potency he had, but he essentially was put on the cross, Yep. So, and they take it with such humility and like, you know what, this is my path.
I will achieve what I need to achieve, and I will let the rest be. And
it's interesting talking about how great people like Duryodhana couldn't accept Krishna's supremacy. And they might think there's so many other more powerful people, but there's a part in the purport that references that. There are many Ishvaras or controllers, and one might appear greater than the other. So, and I like this, how Prabhupada broke it down here. He says in the ordinary management of affairs in this world, we have some officials or directors, and above him there's a secretary, and above him a minister, and then above him a president. But each of them is a controller, but one is the controller of another. So in the Brahma Samhita, what we've referenced, it says that Krishna is the supreme controller. And although there are many controllers, undoubtedly, both in the material and spiritual world, Krishna is the supreme controller. And I remember talking about this with Giriraj Swami, who's one of the really elevated souls on our path of bhakti.
A teacher.
Yeah. And I told him something like that, like there seems to be sometimes such... confusion about who is really the supreme. One says this is the supreme, another says, no, that person's the supreme, or that being, or whatever it is in both the material and spiritual realms. And I said, how can that be? How can there be such confusion? And he was saying, since the Vedas are such a vast body of knowledge, they might say so-and-so is the supreme. But Giriraj Swami said that Prabhupada had said, sure, the governor is the highest position in the state, but the state is within the country and the president of the country is even higher. So when they say so-and-so is supreme, they might be talking about within that, if we're talking about the material world.
What are you referencing?
Like I'm thinking about, okay, I'll go there for a second. Different, let's say, demigods, you know? But that is different than saying different, there's different degrees, right? So let's say Lakshmi is actually expansion of Radharani, for example. But within the hierarchy of different supreme beings, then you have yes, they're the controller of that region.
Right. Yeah, but, like Indra is the controller of the sky,
the weather, the other demigods.
But then Krishna is the universe.
Right. So that's why. So in some places of the Vedas, they might say so-and-so is the supreme of that region. They're not going to actually specify the hierarchy, but that's why there can be such confusion. And then, okay, the governor is the highest in the state. That's true. But everyone knows the state is within a larger region of the country. So both in material and spiritual realms, that's sometimes how it goes. Because it might not explicitly say, they are not the highest actually. It might say, yeah, they're the highest. But what are we talking about? Of the universe, of the cosmos, or of that one region? I just think that can help reframe certain things.
Got it. But basically Krishna here is saying that he is the supreme, but he's just acting like a man, like a friend of Arjuna's, a politician involved in the battle of Kurukshetra.
Right.
Simple charioteer.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. Simple charioteer.
It's really cool.
And Prabhupada says, how can someone mistaken Krishna for having a material body? Because a material body can't perform all those wonderful acts that have been described in the previous verses. Like his body is Satchid Ananda, which we've said is eternal, blissful, full of knowledge. And he uses a word, his body is called Manusim. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, because he is acting just like a man, a friend of Arjuna's, a politician involved in the battle of Kurukshetra. And so in so many ways, he's just like us, an ordinary man, but his body is actually Satchid Ananda Vigraha, eternal bliss and knowledge absolute. So I like that.
Isn't that the ultimate flex, though, for God to be God, but not act like he's acting like God?
Right.
You know what I mean?
What humility, no?
What a beautiful way to view like God. You know what I mean? It's like, I use flex for our Gen Z listeners there, but that's
I'm cool with the kids,
right? I'm so cool with the kids. But that is a pretty cool flex, right? Where it's like, I know that I'm God, and people who don't know I'm God, that I'm God, are fools. But my pure devotees who know that I'm God, I'm going to take care of you, you know?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, because in our path of bhakti, we like to think of ourselves as, you shouldn't ever go straight to Krishna. We should be the servant of the servant of the servant. And that's actually the highest position. So Krishna's embodying what he wants of his devotees by being Arjuna's charioteer. Let me be in the humble position of you're giving me orders, Arjuna. You're telling me where to go.
And it's I think it's also beyond humble and more so just about the relationship. Right?
The closeness.
If I think about the lame version of someone of a high position here in the material world, it would be like a celebrity, right? And the most loved celebrities are very humble and kind. And for their friends, they would do something that they wouldn't otherwise in other circumstances.
Like Oprah and Gail, right?
You're going to have to explain that a little.
Oprah is loved by so many people. Well, I think she's super humble. I think she's given a lot of money to charity and whatnot. But her relationship with her best friend, Gail, is probably not in that same mood, right? Gail can be like, hey, Oprah, get your butt here. We're going shopping. She can talk to her like that. You know what I mean? Because they have that close relationship. That's the only celebrity friendship that I can think about right now.
I don't know who Gail is.
You don't know who Gail is?
No.
Gail is famously known as Oprah's best friend.
Okay.
What do we know her other than Oprah's best friend?
She's she's an anchor on like one of the news channels too. Yeah, cool. But like Oprah and Gail always together, but they have a different friendship than Oprah has with all of the people.
I was thinking more like Taylor Swift and like Blake Lively.
Oh, we're getting 2 thumbs up from
Wait, explain it for the people who are older that don't understand this.
Good friends. Like, I mean, okay, I'm sorry, I'm about to do it, but like basically, if you know anything about Taylor Swift, you know what's happening in her life right now. And like, as a friend, you're like, hey, come check out my boyfriend. Come to this game with me because my boyfriend's gonna play. Like, they're coming. And they're just like, I'm so sorry for this. I know.
No, don't apologize for talking about Taylor Swift on the Bhagavad Gita podcast.
No, what I mean is like the relationship that someone like that famous has, right? With someone like they're being like schoolgirls about the fact that there's a boy that she likes or whatever, right? Whereas like you wouldn't really see that. Like, where do you see that outside of like really close friendship?
That's true. I mean, that's very, very true. I mean, the fact that she's going to Travis Kelce's game with her, they have a different type of relationship, just like Krishna and Arjuna have a different type of close relationship.
Wait to bring it all on.
You did it. It was beautiful.
Thank you so much.
I knocked it out of the park.
For helping me. I was like too nervous about saying the wrong thing, so you helped me wrap it in a bow. But yeah. So basically, I think at the end of the day, Krishna might be like this amazing celebrity, very beyond a celebrity, beyond a superhero, beyond anything we can imagine, has all the capacity. But he really wants the close relationship. So he's not going to show everyone his money. He's not going to show everyone his everything. He's going to try to just be a person, and whoever gravitates toward him and wants to be his friend and wants to be sincere, then he's like, okay, let me tell you who I am a little bit at a time. And that's what he's doing here in this chapter.
Love that.
And you know what's
explained.
Yeah, we're so lucky then to be able to hear of all of these different confidential activities of Krishna. Because here in part of the purport, they say some people just consider him ordinary because they just don't know the confidential activities of Krishna, his different energies. That's literally what we're getting to know, the most intimate aspects. So we don't get mistaken, and we can actually, for our own benefit, reconnect with our source. They don't know that Prabhupada goes into long explanations of what they don't know. They don't know Krishna's body is a symbol of complete knowledge and bliss, that he's the proprietor of everything that be. I can picture Prabhupada very like wholeheartedly, passionately, well, no, Prabhupada was pure goodness, but like just passionately, I'm saying in the sense like
in a
deeply
good way.
feeling it.
For Krishna?
In a sattvic way.
Sattvically passionate. He was sattvically passionately writing this, and that he's saying, they don't know that he's the proprietor of everything that be, and that he can award liberation to everyone. And because they don't know Krishna has so many transcendental qualifications, they deride him, which we learned that earlier, what that means. Nor do they know the appearance of the Supreme Godhead in the material world is a manifestation of his internal energy. He is the master of all material energy. And as has been explained, the material energy, although very powerful, is under Krishna's control, and whoever surrenders to him can get out of the control of this material energy.
Shamali. You explain that so passionately. That was great.
Thank you. Subjectively passionate. And this was an important point also to emphasize, that if you already accept the premise that, okay, if a soul surrenders to Krishna, we can get out of the influence of material energy, then how can the Supreme Lord, who conducts the whole creation, maintenance, and destruction of the world, how can he have a material body if we do accept that if we surrender to him, we're able to get out, So it just doesn't line up. You have to then accept that, no, this is just an expansion of his supreme divine nature,
Yeah. And there's another part here in the purport that I really liked, and it's Prabhupada basically talking about the level of understanding Krishna. So he talks about neophyte devotees, right? And neophyte basically just means, maybe Shama can help me with the proper definition, but I think it means like you're just a student, like
new
very
devotee.
New, right?
Yes, person who is new to a subject, skill, or belief.
Perfect. So neophyte devotee would be a new devotee. And it says that the neophyte devotee gives more attention to the deity in the temple than other devotees because they think that that's where Krishna is, right? But when you learn more and when you understand Krishna better, a devotee should see that because Krishna is present in everyone's heart as Paramatma, then everybody's an embodiment of the temple of the Supreme Lord.
Ooh,
right? And
nice.
I thought that was really beautifully said. And basically it says that because of that, one should properly respect each and everybody because that's where Krishna lives. And I just love that. I thought that was a really sweet thing.
Yeah.
And some people might be like, well, if Krishna's everywhere, then why go to the temple as well? And that's really not the message either, right?
But it's hard, especially in times of like what's happening in the world right now with war and all that stuff. It's hard though, because we as devotees can see each other as Christians inside all of us, right? Like we as devotees can see that. But people who don't follow this path are like, well, my religion is better than your religion, or I deserve this land, or blah, 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 blah. Like it's so hard to get through that. And like as devotees watch that and not feel compassionate, because like there's just so much struggle over these material labels that are just given to us, and like geographical positions that are you know what I'm trying to say? Like, it's hard.
I think you're both saying, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm done. Yeah.
You're both saying two important aspects that go hand in hand, because Priya, the part you brought up in the purport is so important about being able to, not only see Krishna in the temple, but really see Krishna everywhere, not limit him just to the temple, because that's not, then you're missing the point. And then Shama, you brought up the next thing that's complementary about everything, the climate, the social, political, everything that's going on in the world right now. People are massacring each other. And this reminds me of something Keshava Swami said, that when you connect to the divine in love, you start to develop the perspective where you see the divine in everything, in everyone, and then you naturally have that connection with everyone. And that's why we exploit people, because we haven't developed that connection with them, because we haven't ourselves developed the connection with the Supreme.
Wait, say that again.
So when we exploit people, things, whatever, it's because we don't have a relationship with the Supreme. Because naturally, when you have a relationship with the Supreme, you'll start feeling the Supreme within everyone, everything, and you won't feel that you can possibly exploit them, because then we know, you know what, if I'm exploiting this person or that thing, it's like as if I'm doing that to Krishna himself, because Krishna's seated right in their very own hearts, breathing through them divine guidance and inspiration. And when we develop that perspective, we realize that true divine love is always expanding, because we start expanding our own awareness of Krishna to everything and everyone. And Krishna says then that the beginning of true love is to hear about the beloved. And that's exactly what we're doing here with Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. And when you start hearing the qualities of divinity, you'll begin to see Krishna or divinity everywhere, and see that divinity has always been present in your life and is truly reciprocating with you here and now.
That's beautiful. So essentially, are you saying that the deeper our personal relationship to God is, the less exploitive we are to other people?
Exactly.
Because of our relationship with God, we see God in everything and everyone.
Exactly.
So the reason why all this stuff is happening in this world is because people don't have a good connection, personal connection to God.
100%.
Well,
exactly.
Well said, John Molly. It was good.
Well, I'm just repeating what
and I can
hear.
say some people might say, well, I do have a deep connection with God, and that's why I do what I do. And
maybe though you're misunderstanding.
I was going to say, like, there is a error in translation.
Right.
I don't know.
Totally. Because and continue in a second, but you're bringing up a great point, Priya, because many people think, how can all these wars be fought in God's name? And that turns them off of religion overall.
Yeah.
But that's not religion. That's not deep spirituality.
It's human nature.
Yeah.
Human
Exactly.
nature is to have greed,
money, power,
and
land,
all
stuff,
of these envy, greed, all of these qualities, and then we'll use anything to get what we want, even if it is religion, even if it is whatever. If you don't have the right connection, right? If you don't have the qualities of humility, kindness, honesty, cleanliness, truthfulness, like all of these qualities that actually help you see things beyond when we are greedy and all of these other qualities. Well, exploit, like you're saying.
100%. It's true what you're saying. We need to elevate our consciousness so there's no static interference with the message, and the message will be able to receive clearly.
And that's hard. I think that's hard even for like any of us sitting here, right? Because we have our own biases and we have our own desires.
I have a lot of static interference with my connection with the God.
And that's why the more we know about someone, the more we hear about someone, the more we'll be able to purely give our hearts and minds and reciprocate in that relationship of love. And then we'll be able to, all of a sudden, it's like we're removing the film that clogged our senses, fogged us over, and diluted our actions from pure goodness. And we'll all of a sudden be able to be like, oh my God, Krishna is everywhere. And that'll give us pause. The next time we might do a little something that we know doesn't feel right, that might really hurt someone, we'll be like, wait, there might be a gap between the stimulus and the response, and we'll be able to see Krishna there. And would I do that to Krishna? No. And then that'll prevent you from hurting others.
Beautiful.
I have a question for you guys, both of you.
I love it. Okay.
Because I think hypothetically speaking, what we're saying sounds wonderful.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Theoretically, it's great.
Theoretically, it's fantastic. But let's say that you've encountered someone who has behaved in a certain way that makes you feel bad. How do you see Krishna in them?
Well,
go ahead.
Can I say the first thing that comes to my mind, because two things. First of all, I think if someone treats you badly and we know Krishna's in their heart, it's not that, oh, Krishna in them is treating me badly. No, the human is covered over. They themselves haven't developed pure consciousness because let's say any of our spiritual masters who are purely connected, they're not going to mistreat us in a way that we don't deserve. But with that said,
in any way,
right. But with that said, everybody, and I think I might have mentioned this before, every person and interaction and moment in our life brings about a different flavor within ourselves to show us or to highlight what areas of ourselves can grow, can evolve. And let's say someone does something that ruffles our feathers, we can then really sit with that. Okay, what is this negative emotion within me trying to tell me? Even if that person is wrong and they actually did something malicious towards you,
what if it isn't something malicious? What if something they just did, it just made you feel bad?
Right.
Because I think a lot of people, you have something?
Yeah, but I don't want to cut you off.
Just to wrap it up, I think if they did something to hurt your feelings, I would first try to turn the mirror to myself and see, okay, what within me is being bothered or hurt or whatever right now? What aspect within me is this triggering, and can I learn something from that? If it really is absolutely nothing I did wrong and 100% on the person, whatever the scenario is, then I would think, okay, at the very least, this person is here to teach me tolerance and humility, at the very least. And then from there, you can maybe add on, oh, maybe I did X, Y, or Z. I could have improved in that interaction, but at the very least, this person is providentially placed in my life to teach me tolerance and humility.
Providentially.
Yeah.
Nice.
And we all have those interactions that, good God, they're so annoying. That person that you're like,
She's saying
Yeah.
That's funny.
So like, for instance, like something that happened to me maybe like 6 months ago where I was like driving, and we all live in Los Angeles, and Los Angeles drivers are literally the worst drivers.
Oh, I agree.
Ever.
My sister gets such road rage, and I'm like, chillax, dude.
Yeah, there's a lot of road rage on these streets, right? It's very mode of passion on the LA highways.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was trying to merge into a lane to get into the highway, and I didn't think I was doing anything abrasive. I think I was pretty calm, but the guy kept inching in, so I couldn't merge in, right?
My sister hates when she says LA has such foolish drivers. She like when people do stuff like that.
It's true. It's like, dude, I'm about to hit a wall. Like, just let me in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I got in front by just like putting my nose in there. And then this guy got so mad. He was literally like honking, and he followed me for like a good maybe like a good 30 seconds of just like tailgating me. And then he passed me, and then he gave me the finger. And I was just like, oh boy. And like in that moment, you feel hurt. You're like, oh my God, I literally did nothing wrong except for like I probably just merged a little too late,
Right.
And but then I thought about it. I was like, wow. I feel bad for that particular soul for this tiny little instance to bring you this much anger. Like, I just pray for your soul, and I pray for your journey, and I hope you have a good relationship with God. That all of that came like 5 minutes after, because I was stewing in my anger for like 5 minutes, and I was like, I should have gave him the finger too, but he's gone, and now I'm just gonna be. And I was like, should I even do that? I'm like, I don't even do that. You know what I mean? So like, I was stewing for like a good 5 minutes, and then you stop and you reflect, and you're like, oh my God, like I kind of feel bad for that person, right? Because it's like, there's so much. It's like, you've heard that saying, like, hurt people hurt other people, right?
100%.
And essentially that's what it is. Like, we're walking through this world, and like the anxiety rates are crazy. The depression rates are crazy. There's so much happening with mental health, especially with young kids, especially with like people our age too. Like, there's so much happening that hurt people need a place to place their hurt for other people. And as devotees, we need to be compassionate towards that.
Exactly.
We can't fall into that same loop of like hurting other people because we know better. And how do we do that? Is strengthen our own relationship with Krishna.
Right.
Oh my God. So one of our friends, he said something to me that I always remember. It was really sweet. He said, we're always asking for mercy when we do something wrong, but we're seldom willing to give mercy to others when they do wrong to us.
Totally. You know what? In other words,
You
Keshav
know?
Swami said that, saying we're judges for our own actions, but lawyers to others.
Ooh, can you repeat that one more time?
Judges for others, lawyers to our own actions.
Wait, not
Sorry.
you. Sorry. I just want to embody that because I like even thinking about that guy, I was just like got me angry again. But it's like because you think about it, and you're like, oh, I remember that, but you also need to remember the compassion side of it. So what you said was so beautiful.
Yeah, he said to me, he said, we often seek mercy when we do something wrong, and we seldom think to give mercy to others when they do wrong to us.
Oof, right.
Oh,
and it's not easy, right? Because you have to do a little bit of what you both said, right? You have to, one, put yourself in the other person's shoes to understand their position. Right. And you have to, I actually read this quote and I'm trying to remember, but I don't remember precisely, but it was Bhakti Tirtha Swami, which is another guru. And he has these beautiful quotes about community and relationships and love. And it's just beautiful quotes. And one of them was basically, there's two that I want to mention, but one of them was basically saying, oh my gosh, my brain it went away.
Bhakti Tirtha Swami from South Africa, correct?
Yes.
And he was talking about community, right?
What was the thing we were just talking about?
We were just talking
You were
about
saying
compassion
about
and mercy.
Compassion and
forgiveness.
mercy. You know what? Let me interject one thing while you try and
think about it.
remember.
I will not come back. But it's okay.
Basically, what you had said
gone
about
forever.
compassion and mercy was literally what this whole class Keshav Swami was giving, because the whole analogy about lawyer and judge is that we're judges to others' actions because we harshly criticize them, and we're lawyers for our own actions because we always defend, right? So that's exactly, in other words, what you're saying, and it's so important to remember, keep that mindset.
Yeah, and you know what? It's like when you said like being a lawyer, it's like our own ego plays the defensive.
Totally.
You know, it's like how could that person do it to me? Like we're so quick to use our ego plays this game with us where it's like, oh my God, I can't believe that person did that to you. Is that what you're gonna do? Are you gonna take it like that? Like, what are you gonna do about it? You know? But it's like we need to push that ego out of it and like give mercy, right?
I remembered.
Yes, there we go.
I was talking to say a jog.
No, yeah. Okay. Perfect. So the quote was, when there is a situation that arises, and I'm not quoting it perfectly, but it was basically saying that you should blame yourself first because we're often defensive. We're often saying, and not to say that you actually are to blame, but it will give you the time to reflect and understand. So I was basically combining what you both said, because one, you got to see other people's perspectives. But the first thing is maybe say, did I have something to do in this? Or was there something that I could have done better for the future to not create the situation? And also let me understand their position, right? And like that combination of the two like actually gives us the most growth because we're analyzing ourselves and perceiving somebody else. It's as human beings, we have a tendency to be self-centered.
Totally.
Oh yeah.
And so to be able to recognize when we've made mistakes and to be able to recognize just another person's experience is a powerful tool for growth.
Absolutely. And I think what you said is important, Priya, about understanding their perspective, because my undergrad was in communications, and it stuck with me, the circular model of communication. That's not just about putting out the message, but also being able to clearly receive it. So if I'm ever, not just when I'm bothered, in all the cases, but now we're talking about if you're hurt by someone else. If I'm ever hurt by someone else, I try to repeat back, did I really understand what they said, or did I think I understood it in my warped vision of it? And if I think I understand it, I repeat it back. Like before getting upset, I ask the person, oh, did you mean blah, blah, blah? And they have a chance to then tell me really what they meant. And then I start an open conversation about it. If it's worth it, I first try and sit with it like, okay, is this really just my ego? What is this in me that's hurt? If it's something actually that like, no, this is a relationship I want to build in my life and it does hurt me, I want to talk about it, then okay, if it's worth it, then bring it up and try to seek understanding of what they meant. Is there something there, you know? I think I really believe in the power of communication, and you can really work through things. And I think before you approach something, you should think, okay, what are my motives in this? Is it to deepen the relationship? Is it to improve? Or is it just to point out things and hurt them? Will that derail their progress? Am I the right person, number two, to say this message to them? Or will they be more receptive from someone else?
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of things you need to try to consider.
I have a very similar thought. Like I think the same way. So I appreciate that. That's a cool thought.
Yeah.
And then I want to give an aspirational quote from Bhakti Tirtha Swami.
Yeah.
Okay. So he says, Think of the person you love the most and aspire to treat everyone with that same quality of love.
Oof. That is aspirational. We're just going to try our best on that one.
Yeah. A little bit at a time.
All right. I don't want to go too far away from the verse. Is there anything else? Because
there's one last part I like from it. Two last parts. Two last parts. One of them is that when Prabhupada's talking about how people can't conceive that Krishna, the Supreme, appears just like an ordinary man, how can he be the controller of all the atoms and of the gigantic manifestation of the universal form? He says people just don't get the biggest and the minutest are beyond their conceptions. And I thought, oh, biggest and minutest. I like that. So he's basically saying people can't imagine that a form of a human being can simultaneously control the infinite and the minute. And that although Krishna is controlling the infinite and the finite, he is apart from all this manifestation. So I just thought, yeah, Krishna, while being in his human form, is still keeping tabs on the biggest creation out there to the smallest,
littlest,
itty bit all the list. I just thought that was really nice.
That is beautiful.
And then one more you had?
One more. Basically in the Srimad Bhagavatam, when the sages held by Shaunaka inquire about the activities of Krishna.
What?
Okay. The Shaunaka was a different, let's say a different saintly person.
Okay.
And a lot of sages are inquiring about, tell us, what are the activities of Krishna? They're wanting to hear more. They're wanting to.
So in this other book.
In this other spiritual book that's very similar to the Bhagavad Gita, it's in
conversational.
It's conversational. It's another one in the path of bhakti. Who knows? Maybe when we're done the Gita at some point, we'll tackle that. To be decided.
Oh, it's the wisdom of the sages. They're doing the Srimad Bhagavatam.
So shout out to Wisdom of the Sages. If you don't know who they are, another awesome pioneers of Bhakti Yoga podcast. We love them. Check them out. Anyway, So in the Srimad Bhagavatam, basically these sages are asking Shaunaka about, okay, tell us about Krishna. And basically there's a really nice description that says, Lord Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, along with Balaram, his older brother in the spiritual world, they play like human beings. And so masked, he, Krishna, performed many superhuman acts. The Lord's appearance as a man bewilders us. But no human being could perform the wonderful acts that Krishna has performed while he was present on the earth. When Krishna appeared before his father and mother, Vasudeva and Devaki, he appeared with actually, his forehand form as Vishnu. But after the prayers of the parents, because they were saintly beings that prayed to have Krishna in the form as a son, he was able to, with his powers, with his supreme powers, he transformed himself into an ordinary child. And as the Bhagavatam says, he became just like an ordinary little kid, an ordinary human being. So here again, it indicates that Krishna's appearance as an ordinary human is just, and I like this, it's just one of his features of his transcendental body that he can kind of turn on and off, just another ability. And again, in the Bhagavad Gita, when Arjuna prays to see Krishna's four-handed form, boom, he reveals that, but then he withdraws it again because Arjuna was kind of terrified. So I like that it's a form that he can turn on and off. It's within him and one of the features of his transcendental body. I just really like that.
Wax on, wax off.
He's capable of anything.
Yeah.
Ooh, love it. All right. Chapter 9, text number 12, Shama Sangita. Okay, cool.
She's like, we're moving on from this text and it's my turn and I'm going to tell myself that it's my turn and then I'm going to go. Okay.
That's going to be great.
You guys Shama Sangita.
Okay. So this is Krishna speaking. Those who are thus bewildered are attracted by demonic and atheistic views. In that deluded condition, their hopes for liberation, their fruit of activities, and their culture of knowledge are all defeated. So we talked about this a little bit before, right? When Krishna talks about atheists. Atheists?
Yeah, we talked about different reasons. Like, there might be here in the purport, he's kind of saying there's many devotees who assume themselves, we think we're Krishna conscious and doing devotional service, but deep in our hearts, how deep are we really accepting Krishna as the personality of Godhead, as the absolute truth? Are we really wholeheartedly embracing that? So it's doesn't mean we're demons ourselves, but we just can look into our own hearts and think, are there walls still up? Or how deeply are we accepting this as truth?
Ooh, when I read the purport, the text, I thought it was talking about like if we're talking about those people that were like, oh, Krishna lifted a hill, and they're like, yeah, right. Those people, right?
That there is too also, I think.
The kind of non-believers, and if that's the mindset, how could you ever have understanding of Krishna? If you're always dismissive, how could you understand, right?
I think Prabhupada's addressing all the people, all the variety, right? Because that's one type of devotee he mentions in the purport, how deeply are you accepting. Then he says, similarly, there's other people who are engaged in fruitless, pious activities. They're doing good, welfare, charity, but who ultimately they're just hoping to get free, liberated from the material entanglement. They're not going to be successful either in trying to really deeply accept Krishna. And then he lists another category of mental speculators who try to arrive to the absolute truth, but they just arrive at false conclusions that ordinary living entities and Krishna are one and the same. So then with this false conviction, we think that, okay, we have the body of a human being now, and that's a covering by material nature. But as soon as we get liberated from this material body, we'll basically be as good as God himself. And there's no difference. And my God, there's a huge difference. We're a part and a parcel. We're like a little droplet, but we're not the ocean entirely. So he's listing different categories of like, try not to become bewildered, I think is a key word, because there's so many ways to become bewildered on this path if you don't have the right guidance. You might read this, Krishna's in us and all of us, and a sudden think, I am Krishna. Wait, it all makes sense. I'm God. I am enlightened.
It was me the whole time.
I just knew it.
Yeah.
Duh.
So, my mom told me I was special.
Krishna's saying that if you are attracted to atheism, you have no hope for gaining more knowledge, and ergo, you have no hope for liberation. Makes sense.
Right? Yeah, no, it is what I mean, I think it's what if you continue to be in that deluded condition.
Exactly.
Right? Like if you're an atheist and you have exposure to other perspectives and you're like start considering there is hope, I would think. But you know what?
Right.
I heard this video. I watched this video, not heard. I watched this TikTok video, wasn't it? Maybe. I don't know. I watched this video between an atheist and a religious man. And and the atheist was saying, I don't understand what you don't understand. He said, I'm an atheist, right? You're a religious man. You're a religious man and you believe that there is one God. But what about all the other 9,000, whatever millions of gods other people believe in? You're basically saying that they don't exist and only yours does. And he said, as an atheist, I just believe one more than yours. One more than you do does not exist. Because I believe all the 9,000 that you don't believe exist are not there. And I also don't believe yours is there.
Oh, wow.
Right? And I thought, wow, what an interesting...
That's a good argument.
That's a very good argument for him, like how he perceives the world. But I was just going to say that I'm so grateful to Krishna consciousness because we in this philosophy, in this bhakti philosophy, we are not about dismissing any other perspective because we understand that Krishna is one and many at the same time.
Absolutely.
That Krishna is Buddha, that Krishna is all these, there's many names for Krishna, and we are not, we're not better than everyone else. And, like we have an understanding of that is community-like, that is inclusive. That
Those are just other features of his transcendental body. He can cater to the individual's desires of him, and he appears in the form that they connect with.
So I was just thinking about myself being in the position of talking to that atheist and being like, well, actually, I believe my God says all gods are the same.
Right,
so
I love that.
Yeah. No, you schooled him there.
In my mind. No, just, not need to school them, just appreciation for the Bhakti philosophy.
Right,
Anything else before we wrap up?
No.
That's it.
Beautiful.
All right. We will continue next episode with chapter 9, text number 13. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye. Hello, beautiful souls. If you like what you're hearing, please follow us on Instagram at Modern Yogi Podcast.
And if you love what you're hearing, please make sure to share a link to our podcast at Modern Yogi Podcast with all your friends, families, and long-lost cousins.
And if you have any questions at all, send us a DM on Instagram at Modern Yogi Podcast, and we'll be sure to get back to you.
Thank you for listening to
The Modern Yogi.